Look at all those chickens. Hello there, Meoni here, and welcome back to another Final Fantasy XIV video. This time I want to talk about Blue Mage. There's a load of new content in 5.15, as you probably already know, and I really didn't want to do sort of any of it other than leveling until I checked some things off of my list first, so I don't forget about them. One of those is actually Perfect Blue. This then is a hidden achievement from defeating Azul Magia, the final boss, which is boss number 25 of the original pre-5.15 Mass Carnival. The hidden achievement and title, Perfect Blue, is only obtainable then if you defeat the final boss under the following criteria. You must use 6 elemental schools of magic against him during the entire fight, known as Elemental Mastery. You must also use blunt, slashing, and piercing damage somewhere during this fight, known as Total Mastery, and you must also complete the fight within 7 minutes 15 seconds, known as Too Fast, Too Furious. And you also need to do all of this without taking any damage from any source, known as Can't Touch This. These are the criteria. These bonus criteria might immediately sound quite difficult, but in reality it's not that bad if you plan accordingly. This then is what I did and what spells I used. First of all, you need to get Loom. This is the teleport ability needed for the last phase. Feather Rain is needed from Garuda, Plane Cracker, Moon Flute, Off Guard, Drill Cannons, Glower, Bristle, Flamethrower, Self-Destruct, 4 tons weight, Peculiar Light, Water Cannon, Glass Dance, and finally Sharpened Knife. Those 15 spells are all mandatory for this achievement. There might be new ways of doing them with the new content, however this is how I did it. So make sure you have these. If you don't know how to get some of these, check out YouTube and simply search for Blue Mage spells and where to find them, and you should be able to see and watch my guide to get all that you need from this content for this achievement. Okay, so let's talk you through the actual fight in real time. Okay, so if you've never done this before, essentially this will be a bit of a guide to how to clear it in general, so you might as well go for Perfect Blue. So we're going to focus target so you can see them better. We're going to actually start with casting Bristle, then Off Guard. We then move forward a little bit and we're going to be casting Glower now. So this does quite a lot of damage, so we can fit in about 2 of those before the first Apocalyptic Bolt, that line AoE that we're avoiding. We see Ram's Voice. This is where you run away from the boss as he puts a cone around him, and then immediately after he casts Dragon's Voice, we run in here, and now we're going to start to use some of the abilities such as Plane Cracker for our earth element. We're then going to use Feather Rain to work on our wind element for the thing, the Flamethrower ability, then we're going to use Glass Dance, and then also we're going to go to Glower. Now bear in mind as well, you want to fit in Water Cannon sometime during this as well, so put that in wherever you want. Bear in mind Water Cannon actually has a much further sort of reach than Glower, so you might want to just use that instead for most of your long range stuff. Again, it's fairly basic in this first phase. We see him about 50% here. We're going to reapply Off Guard about 50% so that we can do slightly more damage. Bear in mind we're trying to make as much time up as physically possible because it's all adding up towards our total. The timer doesn't stop. So for the Plane Cracker, we simply avoid out of that. We're trying to fit as many spells in as possible. You can pretty much bait a lot of these AoEs as well, so it's not too difficult to avoid them, and we're just basically spamming Glower now. So all we did in this first phase is try to use all of the elemental magic that we needed to apply during this fight. So phase 1, you can only do magic damage against him. If you were to use physical damage against him in P1, you would actually take damage, which of course is something we want to avoid because it's one of the criteria to actually get Perfect Blue. So there we go, Act 1 complete. Nice and simple. So you can take a bit of a breather as it sort of transitions and loads into it. Basically, this second phase is all about your physical damage. So we're going to be switching from Glower to be using Drill Cannons primarily as our main source of damage. So we're going to focus target again so it makes it easy for you to see. We're going to start with Bristle and Off Guard. Now, of course, we can only use Off Guard at the start of the fight, primarily because it's counted as a spell. So before he's actually pulled, you can actually do magic damage to him, or apply a magical sort of condition. If I was to actually cast that now, it would actually cause me to take damage because he's reflecting all magic against him. You may see these Agnons come out. Make sure that you split around and kill these. Make sure that if there's one next to him that you move accordingly before you attack it, otherwise it splits the damage with the boss. The boss has this nasty habit of standing in the way. So now we're going to go through physical stuff. So you see a cast Sharpened Knife there in melee range, then 4 tons weight. To get those out of the way, we're already using drill cannons as our filler here, the thing that we're casting repeatedly, so that actually counts as our piercing. So we've got blunt, we've got sharp, and we've got piercing, and we're just basically doing the same thing as in P1. He does Ram's voice and those Agnons. That's really the only sort of real thing to worry about. In, out, and sort of pay attention to what he's doing. So you see these second Agnons that go out, you want to prioritize these straight away. Do not leave them to actually do their own thing, because they will actually start casting burn, which will cast AoE damage. Again, we don't want to take any damage. For this last one, you can see there I actually clipped the boss with that. Not to worry, I finished it off with another cannon, and we're going to run behind him for Apocalyptic Roar because we don't want to take any damage from that, and it's as simple as that for P2. So now we move on to the third act. In this one, he basically starts with physical and then switches to magical halfway through. So obviously we're going to be using drill cannons. Obviously we want to start the fight. Again, we're going to focus target to show it better with Bristle. Then we're going to cast Off Guard because this is before he's cast his repelling spray, which, you know, is Reflect. We're going to get a drill cannon in. We could have got a second drill cannon in there, but it was a bit risky with my lag, so I just went for the first one. We're going to do as much damage as physically possible here. We're going to make sure that we move at the last possible moment. We're going to get as many as these drill cannons in. As you can see there, I got 2 in before I moved in for the Dragon's Voice. So we're taking him down as far as we physically can. Apocalyptic Roar, we just step behind it. Nice and melee range sort of ability we can step out of. And then at this point, he will start casting Charbades as soon as he's done that first roar. This is putting 4 tornadoes around the room, and we have a line AoE. You want to go in between, after the line AoE, between 2 of these tornadoes. It doesn't matter where you go, just make sure you move between them. Then he will actually web you in place. You need to use Loom to go towards the center of the room. If you're not sure that you're out of the meteor, use 2 like I did there, and then carry on with those drill cannons until he starts casting ice spikes. As you've seen there, he has just changed to be taking magic damage instead. We're going to be bringing him down to about 44% or so before we actually need to use our self-destruct. So as you can see here, we're just avoiding stuff. I'm going to start with casting Bristle, then we're going to do Moon Flute, then we need to get into melee range for a Peculiar Light, and then we swift cast, and then we do self-destruct, and there we go, we've killed him. So basically you might want to watch this back and slow the footage down a little bit to sort of get to grips of what I pressed in what order there, but that was the best way of me sort of describing this. I thought this would take a few sort of attempts to talk you through this, but hopefully you kind of got the idea there. If you do it in that sort of order with a few variations depending on your own DPS, you should be fine. You want to be about sort of average item level 130 for this, so make sure you have a lot of the augmented stuff. Obviously there are scaling in place, so even if you're level 60 and you have stuff above there in terms of gear, you're still going to be here at level 50 with that item level, which obviously preserves the difficulty for the future. One of the things that wasn't preserved for this, though, as you can probably tell, is that there are lots of new spells that I didn't have in this footage because I went straight into this today. I've not done any of the Blue Mage content that's fresh apart from just leveling to 60. That only took about half an hour with one of my friends killing the mobs I tagged outside of a party, which is physically the best way of leveling and isn't illegal and isn't an exploit, so you should definitely make the most of that if you've got a friend. But apart from that, I didn't get any of the new abilities apart from maybe 1, I think it was. But we've used everything here that was available at level 50 pre 5.15, and I wanted to prove that I could do this to both myself and to you guys as well and bring you quite a helpful guide, because when you look on the internet there really isn't that much to help you through this. There's a few written guides, but I'm the sort of person that needs to see it myself or see someone actually go through it and talk you through it before I can understand it. So hopefully this was actually helpful. Now, of course, out of this, we got the Something Borrowed achievement. This actually grants you the Perfect Blue title. So it's Perfect Blue Meoni Whitetail, for example. And this took me quite a few hours. Bear in mind that this is quite a few hours of planning and sort of me testing abilities out. I went in for the most part quite blind. I looked at how some other people had done it, but some people have very different tactics. There's no like perfect way of doing this. This is just what worked for me personally, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. And as you can see, I cleared that within 5 minutes 41 with only pre-cast bristles. I didn't use bristle before any of the abilities in the actual fight apart from pre-pull of each of those acts. So obviously if you were to use bristle in there, you might be able to kill it a little bit faster, and of course there are other status elements you can apply to the boss during those phases that I didn't go for. But hopefully this was helpful. Thank you kindly for watching. Leave me comments below on how you would do it differently or how you have yet to do it and if this was actually helpful. And I'll see you all next time. The next few videos hopefully will be of more relevant new content, so stay tuned for those.